Hello everyone, this is Kyle from WeTechCareOfYou, and today I'm going to show you a quick video on how to swap a root site in a SharePoint Online tenant using PowerShell. Now, when you create your tenant, you will be given a blank communication site at the root using your URL. If this is an older SharePoint Online tenant, the root site will be a classic site, but it doesn't matter which site is actually held at the root. The whole reason for this is because we want to swap a new site into that root location. So as you can see, we've got our blank communication site here, and I want to swap that site with this site here. So as you can see, this is a lot more nicer. I've tailored all my web parts, and I've got all the information on that I have. So now we'll use PowerShell to swap those root sites. Okay, so I'm just going to run through the commands that we're going to execute in PowerShell. So the first commandlet that we'll run is connect SPO service. So the URL you need for that is your admin URL for your tenant. When you run the connect SPO service commandlet, it'll pop open with a login screen, which we'll see in a second, and that's when you'll enter your administrator credentials. The next, once that connect SPO service is done, you run the Invoke-SPOSiteSwap commandlet. The first parameter is the source URL, so that is the site that we want to move into the root site. That is the site that we want to replace the current root site with. The second parameter is target URL, so that is the current root site. Obviously, that'll be your URL. And then the final parameter is the archive URL. So this is the new name that your old root site will receive. So let's go to PowerShell and run them scripts. Okay, so the tool that you want to use for this is the SharePoint Online management shell. And if you just run that as administrator. Okay, so for the first commandlet we're going to run is the connect SPO service commandlet. And as we said, that will pop open with the credentials window. Now, if you just enter your username and password with your admin details, there you can see that that's accepted that. Okay, so the next commandlet we'll enter is the Invoke-SPOSiteSwap. And when we run that, as you can see, it will ask for the parameters. So for the source URL, that was the site that we want to move into the root site. So just paste your URL in. For the next parameter was the target URL site. So that is the current root site that we want to replace. And then finally, the archive URL. So that is the new name for the current root site. And press enter on that. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, you'll see that command end. And now, if you check back to your source site, you will see the URLs change. So now if you refresh the page, you can see that the URL's changed and your source site is now the root site. Thank you very much for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.